Welcome to the Liverpool Community Podcast. I'm your host, Chase Johnson Lynch. I'm in the middle of a conversation with the lovely Anna Sexton, who has been on this show before. And so let me introduce you to Anna Sexton. How you doing, Anna?
Hi, I'm Anna Sexton. Thanks for having me back, Chase.
Now, I was just asking Anna, when you were here last time, what were we talking about and everything? And she had a book that she had just published and it went on to Amazon. It was called
That's right.
Pioneering Women.
Yeah, it's an anthology. There's 9 women that we got together on Zoom at various times in the lockdowns. We each wrote a chapter. We even co-designed the book cover. And our leader, Winsome Duncan, has it published through her publishing company, and it's now a bestseller on Amazon.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I mean, I love following up on people with this show. I mean, because it also expands the community aspect of the show. Because it's all about a one-to-one with, just regular people just talking about themselves and what they're doing. And I love the opportunity sometimes for people to come back. So thank you for coming back, Anna.
No, and great to see your new space as well. It's just like a really great you've basically uplifted, haven't you? You've leveled up.
It's true. I've leveled up,
And we're literally on a mezzanine as well. We're floating in space.
Heaven. I won't tell you what this place used to be. So anyway.
I can imagine.
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure. But now, one of the things that you were starting to do was hypnotherapy at the time.
That's right, yes.
But so this is what caused me to contact you because, and seeing you on LinkedIn, you have actually expanded yourself. You've leveled up. So tell us how you've leveled up with your business.
Oh, through sheer willpower and then the good-heartedness of other people. So I'm taking on a space in Hope Street from Monday, the 3rd of April.
And this is in Liverpool,
Liverpool Hope Street, the famous street. And on Monday and Friday, I'm being given access and paying for access to a therapy space through this lovely lady called Jo, who has her own counselling company called Inner Calm. And so this lovely synchronicity came about for me writing to everyone that's got space in the city. One lady coming back at the annex on Hope Street, she said, "We've got nothing." And I said, "Well, okay, put me on a waiting list." And by the way, isn't there anyone that wants a bit of help with their rent at this time? Like, she said, "Oh, I might know someone." And it literally happened just like that. And this lady and I met, we got on really well. So I'm getting the keys later today.
Wow, and that's amazing because with that, we're going to talk a little bit more about what it does. But I believe you call your company Your Roots Go Deep.
That's right.
All right. So your roots go deep or grow deep?
Your roots go deep.
Yes.
So it comes from one of my clients says hypnotherapy is like being read a bedtime story or a word soup recipe. Oh. So one of the tracks that we use is we talk about how you have roots that go deep, and when the wind blows, you can blow with the wind of change, and you've got it. It's basically very sort of uplifting, positive affirmations that we suggest to our client, and then the client, regardless of who they are, will take on what they need from the scripts that we read to them in each of the sessions. They're very much always in control, and hypnosis, contrary to what a lot of people have concerns about, oh God, you're going to make me lose control or make me eat a lemon like stage hypnotists.
Make me a chicken.
Yeah, exactly. Well, all hypnosis is self-hypnosis.
Right.
So if you think about suggestion, you might suggest a nice restaurant to me, but I'm not necessarily going to go there. But what might happen is 2 or 3 weeks later, I'm thinking, oh, I'd like to go out for dinner. And I go, oh, yeah, Chase recommended that amazing Japanese place. I think I'll go there. Right. But I would have not had the thought had you not planted the suggestion.
Planted the seed, yeah.
So I think people who come to me, they find it very relaxing. They find it quite short. So most clients come for 6 or 7 sessions. I've been working mainly online, but I wanted to get back into seeing people face to face. And clients, one lady wrote to me this week, she said, "I have not had a night terror since we worked together." And we worked together in the autumn last year. She started going back to work after having her baby in mid-November, and that was it. She went off and did her thing. And she, to not have night terrors is such a massive thing because it was stopping her from having confidence, and her sleep was broken or she wasn't having any sleep at all. And it was just, so she's got her life back. She's super confident. She's back at work. She's enjoying being a mum. So it's amazing what the therapy...
Good feedback.
Oh, my God. It makes me feel so happy,
I mean, like, now I don't want to spend, like too much time on it, but, like, obviously there's always skeptics out there, like, but we pointed out that there was a difference. So you pointed out there's a difference between stage hypnotism and clinical hypnotism.
Absolutely.
So, like, in your service, like, what is the clinical hypnotism?
It's all to do about context. So hypnotherapy is essentially a clinical practice, and it's like a therapy in terms of you go to a set place, you invest in that session, you're going for a particular intention.
Yeah.
Whether you want to boost your mood, get better sleep, eat well, stop smoking. Whereas if you go to a stage hypnotist, you're probably going out with your mates. I've done it. You said you've done it. I went to the student union when I was here. I went and got hypnotised by Hugh Lennon and Hypnodog. I mean, actually, I went to see a friend to do it and she wouldn't do it. So I got pushed to the front and ended up doing it. But essentially, if all hypnotism is self-hypnotism and being relaxed is something that we all do very naturally to any given degree, anybody can be hypnotised. It's just a very different setting. So I'm not doing it for entertainment. I'm doing it to help people's mental health. And we are trained. We have to be part of professional bodies. We have to have supervision every month. We have to do ongoing training. So I'm now doing...
Because you're fairly new at it as well.
That's right, yeah. Qualified in December 2021. I'm now doing the advanced diploma, which means covering in more depth things like OCD, hypnobirthing, hypnotherapy for fertility, the real sort of science behind, better health in terms of weight and healthy eating. And it's something that takes quite a long time to do. And you have to work with a lot of people. We had to put in over, I think I had to see at least 8 clients when I was training, and I had to do at least 10 sessions with each of those 8 clients.
Wow.
And you have to write up a case study for each of those clients.
Yeah.
Every session is a write-up. You have to do like client feedback, and you have to get that assessed by a supervisor who's very experienced in hypnotherapy. So it's very scrutinized.
Yeah, of course. We
have to keep our records. So, for example, I've worked with a young person recently who's 14. I have to keep their records till they would be 23 in case anything happens and someone needs to review my work with them. Everything has to be kept in a lockbox. So we're very above board and professional. And I think that helps people feel reassured that we protect their data. Everything's private and confidential. And we're a really helpful community. So people are sharing information and ideas about how to get better results for clients. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, one of the things you said is like the words that you say have power.
Of course.
What do you mean by that?
How to say it? I guess what we hear in our own head can become like a script. And, I don't think it's as easy to just say some positive affirmations every day, but I certainly think it helps.
Yeah.
And we know that growing up, someone might say something in a glib, offhand fashion, maybe a parent or a teacher, that isn't meant to be harmful, but at that point might be very stressful. Maybe it's in public and someone says, "Oh, you didn't do very well," and then you believe that is everything you do isn't
Especially
very well.
like if you're young in the past, the things that you hear as a child or the acts that are committed to you as a child affect you as an adult in the present day, don't they?
We all have a stress bucket. So this is a mental health model that's used in mental health first aid training. We use it in solution-focused hypnotherapy. So if we have a good night's sleep and the stress bucket's full when we drop off at night, in an ideal world, we wake up and the bucket's empty. But we know that not everybody has good sleep because they've got a baby or a new puppy or a noisy neighbour, or they just have insomnia for whatever reason. We maybe wake up with a bit of residual left over from yesterday. But in an ideal world, empty stress bucket, take on the new day. All children wake up with a full stress bucket. So regardless of how on the outside a child's life is blessed, maybe they actually have heating and they have a bit of food, because as we know, not everybody is blessed in that way at the moment or always. They will wake up stressed. So I think that's amazing perspective to have, that if you do have children in your life and they seem really out of sorts when they wake up, that's because they've got a full stress bucket. So much is out of their control as children. And then on top of that, full stress bucket, they go into school and maybe someone says, little Johnny, you're not very good at singing. Therefore, that child's already stressed. They hear that as you are not good at anything, let alone singing. And that starts to direct their thinking in a certain way. And that means the next time someone says something that's maybe a little bit critical, because we do learn from good, well-delivered feedback, they take that as another thing that means they're even worse than they thought they were.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important that we understand that.
So this seems to be real close to counseling.
Yes.
The power of listening.
Yes.
Now, you also don't seem to have like an age limit with your clients, because you deal with young people, like you said, over 8, as well as adults of a mature level, and covering many topics from like bullying to suicide prevention and stuff. So how is that for you? I mean, like, in being able to tackle such sensitive issues with people in this hypnotherapy.
I think it's really important to know yourself. So I have my own therapist. I have a coach. I've had lots of different life experiences myself that may relate to some of the young people or adults that I work with. But because we're solution focused, after the first session, we'll find out what the person wants to change, but we very much focus it in the way that if this wasn't in your life, what would your life be like? We talk about maybe symptoms, sleep problems, nail biting. But after that first session, we don't really talk about what would be perceived as the problem. So in counselling and psychotherapy, there's something called transference. So if someone is very emotional and there's a particularly difficult experience, that could transfer onto the therapist. Whereas in solution focus, because we're talking about what's been good, so we don't say, how are you feeling? We say, what's been good? That's about getting the neurons to start firing towards looking for the good things in each day, whether it's a nice cup of tea or the weather. And we also very much are coaching our clients in a different way to perhaps some of the questioning that counselling might follow.
Yeah, because you were saying that you kind of like saying, that's good, no matter what they're saying, like whether it's, you would say, oh, that's good, like so it wouldn't be like a positive or a negative. You would just stay on the positive realm of things of like, that's a good thing.
Well, if someone was saying they came for bereavement, I have had a lady recently, she had quite a lot of bereavements all at once, and so that's a really real reason to feel sad.
Yeah.
So actually, it's really good that someone is able to feel their sadness.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying.
But if that person kept going back to how sad they were and how awful it was, our job is to be really clear about the types of service we can offer. So if someone was repeatedly not really making progress and talking a lot in sort of the past terms or in more sort of negative emotions, that might be someone we would signpost to a counsellor or a therapist who maybe offers something a bit different, because our protocol is very much focused on the here and now. We might say what's been good since we last saw you last week, but we're not delving into the past really. So we have to be really careful and professional about saying, oh, actually, maybe that I'm not the right person for you. But that's important. That's as important as working with someone, because I think people who choose to go into any kind of therapy or coaching or mentoring programs, part of that step of saying, I need some help, is part of the healing and the getting better.
Yeah. I mean, like now, I think it was really interesting because I used the word susceptible which you would say, oh, no, 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 no. And like you pointed out, there's a difference between people who are susceptible and people who are receptive. Do you remember that?
Yes, we were talking about that, and I think it comes up a lot in the training, but also, of course, people will say, oh, I'm not very good at relaxing, or I can't be hypnotized. And again, that's a thought, that's a belief. If we tell ourselves over and over, I can't relax, then we'll start to believe it. So we don't measure anyone's susceptibility to hypnotherapy. We invite the person to have their own experience. And perhaps when they first come, they're quite anxious. It's a new environment, this new place on Hope Street. They maybe haven't been there before. But by the 4th or 5th session, clients start yawning and you're like, you're right. They're like, oh yeah, I'm just really getting ready to relax. And you think,
I've come here just to relax.
yeah, because we do lots of things to help them. So by our nature, the part of our brain called the primitive part of the brain is there to keep us alive. Mm-hmm. So, of course, we all have anxiety to some degree about new places, new people. So we give our clients a copy of a hypnotherapy track.
Yeah.
It's got our voice on it, and it's got the music that we will always use with our clients.
Yeah.
So by them using it every night before bed, when they meet us the next time, that part of their brain goes, oh, familiar person, familiar voice, familiar music. So
I'm ready for it now.
They still might be anxious because it is a bit weird. Like if we were sitting in the treatment room now and you're hypnotizing me and I'm like, I know you, but I might feel a bit self-conscious.
Yeah.
But our brains know what's good for us.
Yeah.
And they know that when we relax, that we feel good. And we like feeling good.
It's like that song, feeling good. So, this is all, like I said, fascinating there. And even though, this is a new path for yourself, can you tell us, like, what inspired you to follow this path?
I've always been involved in working with people. So whether it was doing youth work or going into education in community groups and doing arts workshops, or even my own experience of being frustrated with myself at not always knowing how to deal with interpersonal situations at work. I got into coaching. I've been a mentor since I was 14. And over those years, you do lots of training about listening better and picking up on non-verbal cues, and I find all that stuff really fascinating. But my sleep went really off the rails during lockdown. I was sleeping 10 to 12 hours a day. And a friend of mine was training to do this form of hypnotherapy, and she said, do you want to be my practice person? I was like, yes. And within 12 weeks of sessions, my sleep was back on track. And that's pretty miraculous, really. And at that point, I was like, not, I think I know it all, but I had a pretty good idea about how I thought my brain worked. But alongside learning to relax more, what we do in our sessions is we talk about how the brain works. And I was like, why do kids not know this? Why do kids not know about stress buckets? Why do kids not know that they wake up every day with a full stress bucket? Maybe that would make them feel better about themselves. Like all this stuff that kids get told about being too angry or, disconnected and looking out the window. Well, maybe they're just stressed for being a kid. So I got into it, and then I started the training in Liverpool. Takes 10 to 12 months to do your training and all the paperwork and the qualifications. And I love it. I just love seeing people. They don't need to change themselves, but once they start to know how their brain works and what makes them tick, the change sort of just seems to happen of its own accord without them focusing on it. And that's such a nicer way than being really hard on yourself and going, oh my God, you're still biting your nails and you're 48. What's wrong with you? More like, oh, you bite your nails. That's because your brain's got a template that when you're anxious, you bite your nails. Maybe you can change it.
That's a less judgmental viewpoint to have.
Yeah. And so I met someone at a networking event, quite a young lady, very dynamic, working mum. She just got her MA. I mean, amazing young woman. She said, oh, I've got this really nervous tic where I tap my face and I feel really embarrassed by it. And I said, well, isn't that great that your brain came up with a way to make you feel safe? I said, maybe you want to stop doing it. Maybe you don't. Does it offend anyone? I'm not offended. She went, God, no one's ever said that to me before. I said, your brain developed that little habit as a way of keeping you safe. You still do it. If you want to stop, you can. She went, wow.
You could have been like, you're like Denzel, because he does that all the time.
Does he?
Yeah, in his movies, if you ever look at Denzel, there'll be
Oh,
times
everyone's
when
got
he
to
just-
tell, haven't they? We've
Yeah.
got little tics that we do repeated things.
Yeah.
And I guess that's a great example. Like for Denzel, that's become a bit of a calling card. Now, it might be his way of calming himself down.
I think it is. That's what I'm saying. When you just said it about this woman, I mean, because why would you just do that?
We're very self-conscious. The things that I would do that I think everybody notices, let's be honest, everybody else is worrying about whether anyone else is noticing what they're doing that they think is a bit
true.
weird.
True.
And human beings, once you really get to know them, are very, very similar. We want love and connection. We want to give back to people that we love, or bigger causes like local communities and helping people out. I think we're intrinsically kind of programmed to connect with each other and help each other out. And in fact, the biology tells us that since we've been cave people, actually stay healthy by working as a tribe. It helps when we work as a tribe today, we produce serotonin, which if I walk down the stairs and bump my leg now, I'm more likely not to feel as much pain because I've got serotonin flowing. And if there's any more stress in the rest of my day, I'm likely to have less stress because I have more serotonin just by turning up here today.
Wow.
So it's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, well, true. So I usually ask this question of everyone. It's like, what is your origin story? And people usually laugh at that because it's like make me feel like a superhero. Yeah.
Well,
but
I guess
no, because I just think it's fascinating. I know it's long, but yeah, what is
if
your
I could
origin?
condense it, so if I was a superhero, I think I'm a bit of a chameleon. If I was a superhero, I could fold myself up into a little box and just move myself to another place or another job. Given I've got an artistic background, I've had a lot of jobs that have been short-term contracts in museums or galleries. I've worked in mental health. I've worked in really posh restaurants because I used to be a wine merchant, but that was a fancy name. Basically, I worked in an off-license, but they called it a wine merchant. But I did door-to-door selling. I've done Avon. But again, if I go back to the reason why, one, I love making money, which is great.
Who doesn't?
Some people don't. We're all have different relationships to money. But I love people. I was always someone when I was young that people would tell their story to. Like random people at bus stops would start chatting to me and go, "Oh, thanks very much. I feel lots better now I've told you that." I'd be like, "Okay, great." And I didn't really know why. And I think it's just, I like finding out about people and their stories. And so in some ways, when I was working in museums, I was there to facilitate people making photography and having it on the wall of an exhibition, and that would tell people their story. And in some ways, hypnotherapy allows people to go inside themselves and tell a different story, but they're not really thinking about it.
Well, I guess it's kind of like with the gift of hindsight, did you see yourself here?
Did I see myself here? Wow, that's a deep question. I saw myself when I came back to Liverpool this time in a place where people were really, really warm and friendly. And that even if I was on my own, which doesn't mean I'm alone, that when I get on the bus in Liverpool, I feel like I'm part of something. I just love the fact that people chat to each other, and maybe they're not always having, they're chatting about the weather or the rain or whatever, but there's a feeling that people build this city and they hold it together.
Yeah.
And there is parts of London that are like that. But the more I had to move around in London as jobs changed or my relationships changed or whatever, I was getting further and further away from those places where I felt like I really had grounded community. And for me, that's just really important.
Yeah.
So, I don't necessarily think I saw myself back here. But in a way, the fact that I didn't was the reason that I made that choice, because I'd been so fixed on leaving London that coming back here, I was neither not attached to it and I wasn't against it. I was neutral, But the fact it came up the way that it did, I looked up and I thought, yeah, you're having a bit of a joke with me. This is brilliant. I'm going to do it. You know, like
Well,
sometimes
I
the
mean,
universe knows where you need to be before you do.
you know, as an outsider, I prefer Liverpool to London if you had to look at it that way. You know, but you know, let's talk about this new book that you believe you're working on. This mindful coloring book, Feed Your Creativity.
Yes.
Yeah,
So this
yeah. Tell me about that.
Feed Your Creativity. So this is an idea that I've came up with through, I did an abseil last year down the side of the cathedral for the Big Help Project. And Fran Darcy, that one of their fundraisers is in a business network that I'm in. And she's super grounded in the community. She's done a lot of community fundraising and I have as well. So we've got lots in common. And we just got chatting and I just had this, you know, when you get an idea and you're like, oh, that's a great idea. Let's see if is it a really good idea? I believe that I would like that we didn't have food banks. I think there's something really quite wrong about that. But while we need them, we need them. But what about feeding people's brains and their creativity when they come? So could a colouring book be popped into someone's bag when they come and collect, and maybe there's some pens in there, and we've got this idea of trialling that out. I would be the artist that makes the initial black and white drawings, but the big idea is that eventually I raise funds where I can commission artists. They get paid to do their contribution. We do a proper licensing agreement so that they feel like they're properly respected as artists. But then people in food banks or other places where we maybe could sell them so that we could give them away for free in the food banks, get access to beautiful contemporary art. But they can colour it in however they want. And there's evidence that says when we're stressed, we can't access our imaginations. And when we're more relaxed, which a lot of people find colouring really relaxing, perhaps people will have that next idea that leads them forward in their life. And maybe it's not the big idea of going back to uni or even getting a job. It could be, oh, do you know what? I might clean that cupboard out. Oh, I feel so much better. Fantastic. You know, like that, those little windows of bandwidth that we get where we do something that's been annoying us for ages, we just get a surge of energy. So I feel like something like that has the potential to change things for people, but in a really nice, light touch, playful way. So that's the idea.
Well, I mean, you know, hopefully, you know, by the time this show comes out and everything, you're starting something really new, really fast right about now. You're offering free meditation on Facebook.
Yes, I'm starting it on Monday, the 3rd of April. This is really because I was doing work with Autism in Motion, Calming the
I
Palm.
know them. Yeah.
I met loads of parents last year. There's lots of things that Calm in the Palm for the children and young people, but I felt like the parents were the ones that had the tears behind their eyes and were just really grateful they could chat to me for a bit. Mm-hmm. And, you know, affording the time, the energy and the money to get some hypnotherapy maybe isn't where they're at right now. And so this year I thought, well, what can I offer people that does cost a bit? It is a bit of time, it is a bit of money to get on Facebook through your phone or a laptop. But essentially it will be 30 minutes for 4 weeks in a row, and I'll do a really light touch relaxation. And whoever's involved, all I ask is that I can have a brief call with them before we start the process and ask a few questions. And I'm going to ask the same questions that I ask at the beginning, at the end, to see if there's any change.
Yeah.
And then use it as a bit of a leverage point to see if we can get some funding. Most of the stuff that I've done in my business, I have sold my services, and that's great, and I have fundraised for other people, but now I realise I would still like to sell my services but raise funding for some of the things that maybe are more community minded, so that people who have low or no income can access what I do, because I think it's really important.
So do they go to your Facebook page?
There's a Facebook page that I have for the hypnotherapy called Your Roots Go Deep Hypnotherapy. And then there's a Facebook group called Mindful Moments, because I want to inspire people to think that maybe 20, 30 minutes out of their day, have some relaxation and see if that makes a difference to the rest of
So
the day.
on those pages, that's where they'll find your QR code to get into.
I can send you all the information. So when you upload this video to YouTube, there, if you want to put the information in the bottom, I can give you all of that.
Nice one. So you heard it here first, people.
Thank you.
And everything. So I've been given the signal from my man Phil. I mean, like, time seems to really fly. I really love this quote that you had said when you were starting out. Like, because you were like a young business consultant, and then like you decided that, you know what, I'm just gonna call myself a director, and I'm gonna just make business cards. I just decided that. You know what I mean? That's just amazing. The fortitude the belief that you have in yourself. Would you say that that's amazing, or anybody can have that, or
I would say that I think a lot of people look at me and think I'm really confident, and in some respects I am. But that decision to make those business cards came after about 7 or 8 years where I was so underconfident. I kept going into banks to ask about setting up a business. I didn't understand a business plan. I didn't understand the spreadsheets. It was all very analog then as well. Now I think there's a lot more different ways you can access beginning a business, especially if you're neurodiverse or a woman or black or disabled. Like, there's a bit more traction for people who are often not likely to set up businesses. But I just thought, you know what, F it. Why am I feeling so like underconfident? I've just got to do something. So I think maybe at that point I just had that little bit of bandwidth, and they used to have business cards making machines at stations. And I'd made business cards when I did my art degree up here as a bit of a laugh.
yeah,
So I thought,
like a little Vista print.
yeah, exactly. So I just put Anna Sexton, business consultant director, and I thought, well, I guess it's that little step in the right direction.
That's important.
Exactly. So I think anybody can do it, but I'm not. I think also I'm really sensitive to say, if you're watching this or listening to this, you might be having a bit of a dip in your mental health and your mood, and it's something that might happen eventually. So don't get on your own back. Try and find something to relax, and eventually the ideas will percolate again.
Yeah. Well, Anna, I'd say this has been very awe-inspiring, and I would like to thank you for returning once again to our new studio.
I love it.
And everything, sharing a bit about yourself and about what's going on for you and everything. And hopefully people who are interested in what you have to offer, whether it's the free meditation or the hypnotherapy and everything else like that, your roots go deep. Pretty bit long, but easier to find.
Yeah, when you set up a business, think of a really short name that people can find really easily. But
Yeah, have a little bit of
we live and learn.
Nah, well, hey, listen, you know what? If you're found, you're found. And that's because they want to find you.
Exactly. Thank
So
you.
once again, I'd like to thank Anna Sexton. I'm your host, Chase Johnson Lynch. And, hey, you know what? For now, we out of here.
We out.
Yeah.